start with, we have to create a class named horse, right? So this horse must contain the fields of name, color, and birth year. So for the name, we will be using the um, data type of string. Okay, so to implement information hiding for the instance variables, we will be using the modifiers private. Okay, so this is for the name of type string. And for the color, we will be using the string also. And for the birth year, um, integer. Okay, now, all right, the getters and setters for name, color, and birth year. So by convention, in naming the getter, we have to start our identifier with a get keyword. So for the methods, we have to use the modifiers public. And since we will be returning a value for the getters, we have to return the same type. Okay? And this is the getter for the name. Okay? So for the getter for the name, this should return the value of the name that is of type string. Okay? Now, in our identifiers for the getters and setters, we will be utilizing the same name of our instance variables. Okay? So this is the the getter for the name. Now for the setter for the name, they will be using the void type of the method. And for the setter, we have to start the name with set, followed by the name of the field. Okay. Now, since we are going to set the value for our name, we have to pass the value to be set as a parameter. So the type of value to be set for this is of string. Therefore, the parameter should receive a string type. Now, okay, to avoid confusion, we will be using the same identifier for our field name. For this, we will be using the this reference. That is, we are referring to the name of our field, okay, the name of the horse's field name. Okay, so here we have to set the value for this name, right? So this reference will be used. So we will be saying this dot name is equal to name. Okay, for anything else, we have to save this one and create a folder. Okay, since we will be utilizing different classes, we have to create a folder um, named, like for example, the horse folder. This will contain horse class, the racehorse class, and the demo horse class. Open. Okay. Oops. Demo. Save this one. Need to save as this one and save it here. Okay. All right. So we are already done with our getter and setter for the name. Next is the getter and setter for the color. So for the the getter for the color, so we have to say public string get color. Okay, and this should return the value of the color. Next, the setter. for the color, so public void set color. Okay, so for the color, again, we have to pass the parameter for the color that is of type string, right? So the this reference will be used is equal to color. Next, the getter and setter for the birth year field name. Okay, for the birth year instance variable, getter, we have to use the method return type of integer since we are specifying integer for our birth year. And get birth year. Okay, and this will return the value of birth year, right? Then the setter for the birth year. Okay, it is of type void set birth year. And here we have to pass a value of type integer for the birth year. Actually, you can use another variables or another variable names for the field names. Okay, and it's optional to use the this reference. For example, another variable is like by, and you can set this one up for the birth year. So you will say this will be assigned to the birth year. So birth year is equal to by. Whatever the value being passed in this parameter will be set for our field name birth year. Okay, save. Then for our subclass, we will be creating another file with a Java type. And here we have to create um, another class called racehorse. This racehorse has an additional field of races. Okay, see we have here number of races. So here, still it's private to implement information hiding. Okay, that this field must be accessible within this class only. All right, so private int races. Then the getters and setters for races. Okay. For the races of getter, it is of type integer. So we have public int get races. Then they should return the value of the races. Next is the setter public void. So for the setter of races, so we have the method named set races with one parameter of type integer, and this should set the value for the races. So this dot says is equal to says. Save. This must be saved inside same folder of horse. Save. Okay. Don't forget, since we have to implement the inheritance, this should inherit the properties of the horse. So we will be using the keyword extends horse. So all properties of horse will be inherited by racehorse. Okay. Now we will be creating a client class for the horse. Okay, and this one, we'll name this one as demo horses. Okay, demo horses. And this will contain the main method. Okay, so the parent class and subclass cannot be run. We cannot run the program of horse and race horses since they don't have the main method. So only this client class named demo horses, which contains the instances of horses and demo horses. So we have the main method here. Okay. And we have to instantiate the horse. Okay. Using the object horse 1. Okay. So horse 1 with a type of horse is equal to horse. So we are using the new operator to instantiate our horse 1 object. Okay? And here we are calling default constructor of horse. Since we did not provide the default constructor of horse, the Java will automatically create one for us. Okay? Then we can use this object to access the public members of horse. So those are get, set, get color, set color, birth, get birth year, set birth year. So we can use these getters and setters for setting and accessing the values of horse. Okay, so we can say that horse one dot set name. We have, for example, this is Perla. Then horse one dot set color. Perla has a color of pink. Okay. And horse one dot set birth year. I mean, since birth year has an integer type of parameter, therefore we need to pass an integer type for our argument. For the birth year, so for example, 2018. Okay, so to display the info of this horse, we will be calling the getters of horse 1. So you will say horse 1 dot get. Okay, like get name, but we need to format our info of horse 1. Okay, say for example, placing it in um, a system that print line, okay, and displaying the name of the horse, like for example, this is horse, okay, and this is the name. Have to place this one in a new line and concatenate the value to be returned for the get name. Next, um, the color. Okay, in a new line, we have to display the color. Okay, so call the get color. Okay, horse one dot get color. Okay, so get color And this is for the birth year. Okay, so birth year, we will be calling the get birth year using the object horse 1. Okay, so these dots here after the objects serves as an operator to access the method to be called. Okay, that is why we are using the statement horse1 dot get name, horse1 dot get color, horse1 dot get birth year. Okay, save. So again, we have to save this one inside the same folder. Save. Okay, we need to compile first the parent class. Okay, birth year. Birth year. Cannot find symbol. Birth year. What's wrong with this? Get birth year. Oops. Ay, sorry. This is not a method. Okay, so done. Compiling the parent class. Now let's go to the subclass. Compile. And now in the client class, I'm trying to create a property for the first horse. Save, compile. The color. Sorry, the escape character of a new line. Okay, and this one, get birth year. Save. Okay, now we have the first horse named Perla. Okay, format this one. It's up to you on how will you format your the info of a certain object. Okay, now for setting up the property for the racehorse. Okay, for the racehorse, shall we say we have to create another. Okay, so for example, an object of racehorse. Okay, shall we say this is our horse 2 and is set for racing. So this is horse 2 is equal to new race horse. Okay, so horse 2 will be used to access the public members. Those are the getters and setters for set name, color, birth year, and the races. Okay, so since racehorse is a subclass of horse, we can access the name, color, and birth year. Okay, we can set the color for name. I mean, you can set the color, name, and birth year for the horse also. Okay, using this object horse 2. So we can say here that for the second object, okay, which is of type racehorse, so you will say horse 2 dot set name. Okay, and this is for Ali. Okay, this is our second horse for racing. Next is horse 2 dot set color, for example. And this is color of black. Next is um, the birth year. So we have set birth year. Okay, for the birth year, like 2015. And the race. So how many races? Like three. So set na to ang ang upat ka um, field names for this race horse, including the name, color, birth year, and of course the races. Now, to display the info of this racehorse, shall we say, this is for the racehorse. Okay, the name of this racehorse is horse2 dot get name. Horse dot get name. Okay, so we are calling the getter of the name, right? Then the getter for the color. So in a new line is the color. Color. So we have to concatenate the value of the color using the object horse2. Get color. Next, we have the birth year. Okay, for the birth year, we have to use horse2 dot get birth year. Okay. Next is the number of races. A new line. Number of races to be concatenated with horse2 dot uh, get races. Okay, save. This should display two objects info. The horse one info of named Perla and the second horse named Ali. Save, compile, and run. Okay, so there are two horses here, but the second one is the race horse. Okay, any questions so far? Now, if you want to be more convenient on displaying the info, you can place the info on the same class. Okay? Say for example, we will be cutting this one and placing it inside the course class, but putting this in the method like display. Okay? So upon calling this one, it is convenient for the programmer or the user of this program to call the info or display the info of the object. But since we are going to use and display the info along with this class, we can remove this horse one. Okay? And here, either we will be using the getter methods or the instance variables, name, color, birth year. Okay, and here in the demo class, okay, since we are modifying something and adding some codes, you have to save and compile again. Then here, save, and we will be calling na the display method. First one dot display. Save, file, and run. Okay, so we have here. Okay, and also placing this one within the class a racehorse, like cutting this one from here and putting it here. Okay, public void display and putting it here. All right. Save, but removing horse to dot. Okay, and here just calling the horse to dot display. Save, file, run. Okay, so the same output. It's just that we're just making our client class clean, right? Actually, you can set the name according to the user's input, meaning the inputs are dynamic. As for the demonstration, I'm just um, making the name, color, birth year as static. Okay. Now, for example, here, you can also, instead of using the getters to display the info of horse, you can just use the instance variables name, color, and the birth year. Okay, since these instance variables will hold the values for the horse, you can just utilize that one. Okay, but these are not accessible outside this class. Okay, we can access the properties of this horse through the methods. Okay, save, compile. Here, save, file, run. Okay, the same output. All right. Now, you can override the method. Okay, for overriding the method of display, for example, since display is being specified here to display the info of horse, and in the racehorse, the same method named display is being called or is being um, defined, but getting the name, color, and birth year in which can be found in the previous or in the parent class horse, we can just override from there. Okay, that is by calling the display method using the super, okay, using the super keyword. So we will be calling first the display. So you will say super dot display. Okay, that is execute this display call first. That is calling the display method of the parent class using the keyword super. Save, compile, and here, save, file, and run. Okay, so we have here the horse and the racehorse. All right, since Ali is being used for the racehorse. Okay, any questions and or clarifications?